Welcome to STEAM Storytime at Home Caves. I am Miss Christina with the Wallingford Public Library, and I am going to read a book about a bear who sleeps in a cave, and then I'm going to share parts of another book about caves specifically, and then go over the activities with you, which I think are going to be super fun. All right, first, the book I'm going to share with you right now is called Sleep, Big Bear, Sleep by Maureen Wright and illustrated by Will Hillenbrand. Old Man Winter from a storm cloud spied his big bear friend in the countryside. He leaned to the earth and softly sighed, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard, as twilight fell, "Drive a jeep, Big Bear, drive a jeep." So, Big Bear yawned as he drove around in a jeep on a road just south of town. Wonder if he's related to Yogi Bear, my goodness. But after a while, he stopped in a park. An old man whispered as it grew dark, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as dry leaves fell, "Sweep, Big Bear, sweep." So, Big Bear went to a house down the street and swept each room so nice and neat. But after a while, he yawned again, and Old Man Winter warned his friend, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard, as shadows fell, "Leap, Big Bear, leap." So Big Bear found a frog he knew and played leapfrog while the cold wind blew, till all at once he fell to the ground. The wind through the trees was the only sound, and Old Man Winter said with a frown, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as darkness fell, "Dive deep, Big Bear, dive deep." So Big Bear padded to a clear blue lake, finding it hard to stay awake. Look, you see there's a moose? There's some pretty pictures. Oh, and look over here. A little beaver den. Pretty cool. He dove in deep and swam to the shore. He had never been so very tired before. His head dropped down and he let out a snore. And Old Man Winter said once more, "Sleep, Big Bear, sleep." But Big Bear didn't hear very well. He couldn't sleep in his den in the dell. He thought he heard as snowflakes fell, "Climb a mountain steep, Big Bear, steep." So Big Bear trudged to the mountaintop where the cold wind blew and the temperature dropped. He sat on a stump on the highest spot and wished for a blanket and a fold-up cot. Then he stumbled back down with his eyes half shut. So tired he didn't know which end was up. Old Man yelled while shaking his head, "Hey there, Bear, did you hear what I said? It's winter time, now go to bed." Think Bear heard it that time? Big Bear's eyes were droopy and red. "You could have told me before," he said. He lumbered nearby to his cozy den, rubbed his eyes, and yawned again. He put on his PJs and blew out the light, and fluffing his pillow, he said, "Good night." The end. All right, so caves. This book, which I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's very long, very wordy, is called Carlsbad Caverns, which is a national park in New Mexico. It's this huge system of caves underground, and you can visit them like any time of the year. Well, if it's not COVID, of course. All right, so the Carlsbad Caverns. So caverns is kind of like another word for underground caves, but really big and enormous. It's part of the Chihuahuan Desert, which is far south as Mexico and goes up all the way into Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Now, the first people who knew about it were native people, the Mescalero, Apache, and Zuni Pueblo. They knew about this cavern and they'd explored it. And it wasn't until about a little over 100 years ago that a European finally found it, a cattle driver. He noticed millions of bats just coming out from the ground. And of course, I mean, that's not the kind of thing you see every day. So he went and investigated, and then he found the caverns there. And these caverns, they formed 250 million years ago. That part of what is now a desert was actually under an ancient sea. And then as, millions and millions of years passed, the sea evaporated and it left behind these like limestone reefs, which are the mountains there. And underground, as the water seeped underground, it picked up some, sulfuric acid, and it like melted away, you could say, the ground, and formed these enormous tunnels and caves and like a whole other world underneath. Here you can see a picture of someone standing in one of those part of the caves. See, so it's like, really tall ceilings. It's not like a claustrophobic space, these ones. I mean, some caves are kind of claustrophobic, but these ones are not. See, there's some exposed reef. It had been reef underneath the sea, but then it's now on the top. All right. Let's see, there's a cool picture. Oh, here are cartologists. Those are people who make maps. So they help map out the caves so they know, the depth of things, how tall things are, how far down it goes, and all the different formations. Now here you can see tourists walking down a man-made ramp down into the Carlsbad Caverns so that they can go explore it too. Oh, as a side note, it's got this thing here called lint collectors. Apparently so many people visit the caverns that their clothes just give off lint, that people have to go and take the lint off the cave formation so that it doesn't mess with the ecosystem there. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? All right, there's some more formations inside the caves. Now, all of these formations, these are called speleothems, which are just formations that, as the water and gases evaporate, they leave behind minerals that create all these different kinds of formations. Some are long and smooth, others are, kind of look more like pearls or little rolls of bread. Here are some formations. These ones are called draperies. They're kind of like your curtains, aren't they? These ones are called soda straws, and they're hollow in there. This one is called popcorn, cave popcorn, and these ones are chandeliers. And then here's another picture of the Carlsbad Caverns. There's like the ramp so you can walk in there. I once visited it. I think I was in maybe 6th or 7th grade, eons ago. And it's really cool. So if you ever have that chance to go visit the Carlsbad Caverns, you should definitely do it. As for living creatures, there are bacteria and micro biomes that live in there. Of course, bats. Thousands and thousands and thousands of bats. They say there are 17 species of bats that are in the Carlsbad Cavern National Park. There are these swallows. They live like kind of at the entrance of it, so they can fly in and out pretty easily. The bats are further in. And there are also a ton of fossils in the Carlsbad Caverns. They have found, invertebrates and vertebrates. Look, they even found an ancient horse and something like an ancient cat that's kind of like our modern day bobcat. That's so crazy, I think. All right, so your activities. Activity 1 is making speleothems. Those are like the stalactites, stalagmites. What you're gonna do, you're gonna have, in your kit, you've got 2 cups. You're gonna need to fill them not quite to the top with either warm or hot water, depending on what you're comfortable working with, as hot as you feel safe to do with. And then you're gonna mix in the baking soda. I have the exact how much you should put in will be in the instructions, but you wanna have it saturated so that you are mixing it in, it can't even mix in anymore, okay? And then you're going to fold up your string and then tie a paper clip to each end of the string and weight it down into the 2 cups. And then have this on like a tray or some foil or something just to protect whatever surface you're gonna have this on, and make sure you set it up where you're gonna be able to keep it safe so it won't get bumped or it's not gonna be in your way of doing other things. So maybe on like a shelf somewhere. And you put the string in, and then you're gonna have to wait. That's one of the cool things about the STEAM story time at home is that we can do some stuff that we couldn't do in the library, because this one requires a few days of waiting, which of course we couldn't do. I mean, can you imagine just sitting in the library waiting for something to happen? No. That's completely impractical. So this one we can do it at home, and it's still a library program. So you have it set up, and eventually the water mixed with the baking soda is gonna travel along the thread. The water is going to evaporate, but the minerals in the baking soda are gonna remain, and they're gonna start creating like speleothems, which is pretty cool. You can put in some food coloring if you want to try make it different colors. If you're really adventurous, you could have like 1 cup with red water and the other one with like blue or yellow, and then see if you can get it to mix colors. I don't know, have fun. Do whatever experiments you want. You can also try it with other solids. So you could try it with salt, Epsom salts, sugar, anything else. I mean, experiment, right? You're a budding scientist, think what might form some speleothems, and you just try it out and let me know how it goes. The second activity, you'll get your black paper and white chalk, and you are going to create a cave animal. Now remember, cave animals, if they're gonna be deep, deep inside the cave, they pretty much live their entire life in the cave. And so they really don't have any color. Some of them don't even have eyeballs. And if they do have eyes, they are blind pretty much because they never get any light. So create an animal, create a little cave scene and an animal, and then make sure you share with me what it is that you did, what you make. And then for your third activity, you're gonna make crystals inside eggshells, because there are crystals, or some caves have crystals. And so kind of similar to the first activity, but except this time you should really do it on the stove. So you're gonna need adult help here. I think it's a half a cup of water with like a 1/4 cup of baking soda. And again, you can also try it with other ones, with other, salt, Epsom salts, sugars, and see what happens, the different kinds of crystals you can make. So you'll, bring the water to a boil, take it off the heat, pour in the baking soda, mix it. And then you're gonna have your eggs, crack them. You can do it with either like 2 halves, or if you can try to do it so that you only kind of take off the top parts. Just make sure you have enough that it will hold some of this liquid, okay? Put in some boiling water, some hot water to clean out the membrane, because if you leave that in there, it's probably gonna grow mold and just become really super gross. So you wanna get that cleaned out. And then once it's cleaned, you pour in your water mixture into there, set it in a safe spot. Like if you have maybe in some bowls or an egg carton, if you are finished with the eggs and you have the egg carton, you can use the egg carton. And again, set it in a safe spot because it's gonna take some waiting. Again, another reason we couldn't do this in the library, because it would take too long. Because you gotta go home, right? You can't stay over here overnight for nights on end. And some crystals should form. The water evaporates and it leaves behind the minerals. And you can also add food coloring if you like. And as always, if you have any questions, either email me or give me a call here at the library. I hope that you have lots of fun with this. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye, scientists.